Good evening and welcome back to Moscow. It's been an action-packed day, it's been an action-packed week, but the action's just got underway for this man here, Adam Pustelnik, our chief lead route setter here in Moscow. Adam, you look fairly complimentous, you look like you're quite with it, but you've had quite a busy week. How's it been?
Thank you very much for the compliment. Everybody in my team tells me I look tired every goddamn day. But hey, it's been very packed, as you said. It's been very interesting, and for us, in fact, the main action has just begun because we've been 3 hours ago past the semi-finals of the first two groups. That's female and male junior categories, so the oldest categories, and now we're underway with the UFA category, and it's kind of an opening every time for a new competition with the junior competition, especially since there is a big difference between flash and onside climbing between qualies and semi-finals. So we do see a completely different side of these competitors.
And how many routes have you? Well, how many guys have you got on your team, and how many routes have you set?
Well, we are in fact 6 route setters. It's me, Vincent de Girolamo, Rémi Samin from as the international route setters, plus Akito Matsushima from Japan, and Ruslan and Mikhail Chernikov from Russia. So we are 6 route setters. Originally in the plan we've had 24 routes, which is still not the minimum for this competition. It's not the maximum amount that you can have for a competition like this. I believe Innsbruck last year was 36 or 38 routes, which is really a lot. But because of the changings of plan and program, we did get some of the routes together. As for today morning, for example, when junior girls were climbing the same qualification as UFA girls. So in total, I think we ended up with 16 routes plus some modification of them and so on.
We can see now we are already underway. Apologies here, we're slightly late getting to you live. 1 or 2 technical issues, I'm told, and that was Petr Kuric, who we just saw disappearing. Team Slovakia. We've also seen, I believe, Morgan Dael of Team Belgium.
Yes, she's just started climbing up the white route in the center. If you've seen, guys, the semi-finals 2 hours ago, they were climbing the kind of external routes of the semi-final round. This time it's the internal routes, it's the routes in the middle. Green one on the left side, white one on the right side. Routes which, well, as exactly the girls especially have been climbing today, they have been climbing already 2 routes in the morning. It's the first time that we have this situation in this competition for lead, but the girls climbed 2 routes in the morning, and well, it's probably worth noticing that these routes in the morning were not very easy for them. We got 1 set of double tops plus...
That was Futaba Ito, right?
That was Futaba Ito. She took 3rd place in bouldering 3 days ago, and now she's like 1st place after the qualies. We see some problems struggling here.
Yeah, it's Valentina Aguado. That's our 2nd climber already.
That's our 2nd climber already, so we must have missed Charlie on the first one. Very sorry.
Yeah,
for that,
Morgan
guys.
Dael. Apologies there. As I say, we had 1 or 2 issues getting on. We were just a minute or 2 late. Morgan Dael of Belgium, she scored 9, so fell relatively low on the route. Apologies, we only saw her walking off the stage. And Petr Kuric of Slovakia, we only saw very briefly from a distance. But we've got Stefan Schautz now of Team Austria, and we're about to see Emma Palmer of the USA.
It's kind of a little bit just a matter of perspective. You said we're a little bit late, but maybe in fact it's the climbers who are a little bit fast, huh?
Suits me to say that, yeah.
So, some of the judges would always say, would also, or could also say that it's just the routes that are hard in the beginning.
You're wasted on route setting. You should be a politician with an answer like that.
Well, you know, it's sometimes it's unfortunately reality. I mean, like sometimes we do have in the qualification here situations where we've got climbers making really mistakes or just slipping off on the first holds, and it's as I remember talking to you, Charlie, for the introduction to this competition, we want people to have a good memory, but it is also a thing which for many of the athletes creates a lot of pressure, it creates a lot of when being exposed to, you know, to climbing in front of a group of friends and so many people, it just brings too much pressure sometimes.
This is Emma Palmer of the US, yes, on the right-hand route. These routes were visible on our live stream. We just don't have enough time for you guys to change the routes. So these are the routes that you could see in between the men's and women's routes on the junior semi-final. And they're going, once again, women on the right, men on the left, but they're much closer together this time. The men were all the way over on the left-hand side of the wall. Now they're moved in slightly, and the women are still climbing on the huge star that dominates the wall here in Moscow.
The huge star, if you look closely, there's been 2 stars. One of the stars is still visible on the wall, it's complete, and the other star has been separated into 2 parts, one on the far left side of the wall, one on the far right side of the wall. And if some of you guys would like to see why there's been 2 stars, I encourage come up, see Winter Military Games Sochi 2017. You'll see the 2 big stars on the top of this wall that was mounted first time in Sochi last year. In the meantime, Emma Palmer, just wanted to drop in a few words of her competing in the qualies today, falling close to the halfway of the route. Emma did a really good result on the first of the routes, where she ended up on the 6th place with a score of 28+. The second route posed a little bit more problems to her, but still gave her a very good position in this semi-final. We'll see what's going to happen now, because we're just on the way of this group. It's the 3rd climber up, and I think, well, we haven't seen the 1st climber so much, but looking at the 2nd and the 3rd one, I think Emma is right now in lead.
Yes, and we just saw Stefan Schertz falling just as he approached the steepest section of the wall here in Moscow. It seemed on the junior route, the cruxes from what we saw on the semi-finals were kind of getting off the steepest section of the wall.
Yeah, the idea with the semi-finals was...
this is Guy McNamee of Canada.
Yeah, Guy McNamee from Canada competing on in the UFA. The idea with the semi-finals was that we want the action to be happening a little bit higher up on these routes, and that's why also we have this accumulation of people, you know, very close together on not a big number of moves, but as watching the competition, you could notice that a lot of the, you know, a lot of the falls were like either failures, but very often just by being pumped as well. So it's not the case that we're dealing with like single or particular cruxy move, but we're dealing with a lot of moves that are before maybe not that hard. They don't force you so much that you're gonna be falling off, but when it gets to something a little bit more harder even, and that was usually where the wall kicks from steeper into less steep, that's where the really hard part began, and that's where we had sections of 7-8 moves to separate the best ones. In some parts we made it, in some parts we didn't make it, but I think, well, in fact I'm really curious what's going to happen now, because we see already the boys going quite high, some of them, but the girls, we still didn't see the second part of the route, so we'll still have something to see.
Selina Schäuble of Austria, the latest climber to try her luck on the women's route. There she is. Austria perhaps not had the championships they would have expected in the bouldering. Yeah, we're certainly hoping for more, I think. We'll see how they get on in the lead. Guy McNamee now, speaking of the bouldering, in the semi-final in the bouldering, it kind of felt like he had a great round, but his score wasn't actually that good. It was one of them where he was pretty close on a few boulders, but didn't quite convert it into tops. So see how he can get on in the lead. I
would have to say kill me, Charlie, because Guy, he has, I think, a twin brother, and when I see both of them climbing, yesterday I really did feel like something's wrong with me. I've been working too many days, because I saw in 2 separate routes the same boys, the same guys climbing, but we'd have to check it in a second, you know, if his brother is in this semi as well with us.
No, this is definitely the guy. You know, you have me sweating there. This is definitely the Guy McNamee, unless his brother's also called Guy.
What age? She's getting really high up this route.
Yeah, Selina Schäuble looking really handy here. She's onto the head wall.
It's the last head wall. It's the last 4 moves. The really not so comfortable moves at the end of it.
This Guy McNamee down there, bottom left, just heading up towards the end of the steepest section of the wall.
But I have to say, Charlie, that this is a little bit what I've I've seen before in the junior category where we've had huge ups and downs throughout all of the semi-final. We've had competitors who were, you know, coming out quite early in the semi-final, doing very, very good, being very close to being qualified to the final, and then having competitors who are high up, not getting to the level where they would be qualified. So it's there's a lot of ups and downs, and as I said in the very beginning of the stream, I do really feel that for us it's a new opening. The qualification round, especially when you have, I don't know, 40 athletes before of you competing on the same route, makes you feel a little bit more maybe confident, makes you feel a little bit more maybe relaxed, while the situation when you're coming into we're coming up on the stage, and like the situation here, you could see the route from before is maybe just for some of these competitors a harder thing to handle. So now we've got on men's route Simen Ovchennikov.
Yes, and just to say about Selina Schäuble, that was a 32 for her, and the highest score before that from Emma Palmer of the US was a 16 plus. So she basically, in layman's terms, went twice as far as anyone before her. So Selina Schäuble, let's see how long that high point lasts. We've seen it in a few semi-finals this time in the Youth World Championship where climbers have set an early high point. And you kind of assume that they'll move down the order, but as time goes by, they stay up there. And Selina Schäuble, I think that will take some beating.
A very important part about the youth competition is that there is a lot about executing and perfection of executing the moves, something that we try to push in the World Cups especially, and we are trying to introduce to the junior climbers, and we see that this can pose a lot of problems. I mean, route reading in a very correct way, but for many of these athletes, the knowledge of how to do the moves by seeing a flash video or seeing other competitors gives them a huge advantage, and when they don't have this moment of seeing and being able to compare the different climbers, they feel much less confident. They have to go out of the zone of comfort more often, and that poses a lot of problems. And I think that, you know, because of if talking just about the difficulty of these routes, we're not talking about much more difficult routes than they had in the qualification round. So if you really perform very well and you execute very well the route, you read it correct and you go in a good pace and you do the moves as you know, as you have a little bit of an instinct, and as well as you've read them, if it's only done correct, you have a fair chance of being very high up on this route.
It is a massive difference, so particularly, as you say, for younger and inexperienced climbers when they don't have the video to watch.
Yeah.
And it's, but yeah, it's nice as well. You get to test them in different ways. On the live stream, obviously, we only see them flashing routes.
Yeah. The second part is, I mean, the place where you're before the start is called isolation for a reason. You know, you're a little bit isolated from everything that happens outside. You hear the voice of the commentators. You know, you hear the public, and you feel your time is coming. You feel that it's all gonna happen, but you don't see it yet. And the moment when you come up, this can be a moment when you can burn out very easily. I remember I was that type of competitor that would burn out very easily.
Semen Ovchennikov on the steepest section of the wall. Looks like he feels he could have gone a bit further.
Seems much like that. And on the other side, we've got Camila Moroni going higher and higher up on the steep part here.
She's, again, a bit like Selina Schäuble, shooting for the head wall now.
Yeah.
This is where the angle changes there. You can see it as we pan out. She's onto that horseshoe hold on the lower of the orange volumes, and just slightly read it wrong, but or is that the way to do it? Pop it with the right hand?
No, it's the left hand, but you could see her fingers opening up, not being able to crimp and not being able to pull in and anymore with the right hand. It was just the fatigue of the right hand dropping in there, and we've seen it in the junior competition as well. That it is a competitor kind of instinct that you're trying to make a move, you're trying to go towards any other hold that is in front of you, just to get a better score. Meanwhile,
yeah, it's Kantaro Ito.
Yep. That's very true as well. That this competition goes very fast. I mean,
it's absolutely flying by this semi-final.
It's probably like an average of 2 minutes per competitor. because this wall is not very long. It's 13.5 meters tall. The routes go straight up because obviously the same morning we had 2-hour qualification, and now in the evening we've had 2-hour semi-finals, and there's room for only 6 routes on the wall. So we have to go more or less straight up, and if there is no rest, no real situation as in the qualies there was on the star on the right side where you could just, you know, palm against the volume or, you know, really get your hips close to the wall and take a rest. If there's nothing like that, if you stay 3 minutes on the wall, you're really close to the top. Well, if you don't stay, if you climb 3 minutes on the wall.
I was going to say. Provided you're still going up. Yeah, Gaeon Cho of South Korea is climbing on the right-hand side on the women's route. This is Kantaro Ito. We've got a very, very strong looking lineup. There's a lot of people who've been watching this youth championship who think the youth A's might actually be stronger than the juniors.
Well, we've
not much in it.
You know, of course, as a route setting team, we have to have these discussions of which of the categories is stronger and how to place them, and because some of these groups climb together, we have a direct comparison, and that was the case today in the morning, where we've had last day yesterday we've had the junior female girls climbing on the right side routes in the qualification, and in the morning we've had the same qualification routes with each of them with modified 2 places that got a lot of tight scores. We just changed hulls for a little bit better, and we had on the same route the UFA female, and it turned out that even with these modifications it just blasted to get, you know, 1 top on one of the routes, while the previous day we've had the best girls fall 2 moves before the top, and on the other route 3 tops, while the day before we've had 3 girls fall 2 moves before of the top. So the level, at least of these 2 categories so far, we found was a very close one. Well, we've had yeah, I mean, like, I'm talking a lot, and this means that 2 minutes is not enough even to comment on the climbers. And Kantaro Ito already is down.
Yeah, he flew up the route. He fell just entering the head wall.
It's true as well that the steep part on the green route, especially on the left side, that's a fast part. That's relatively good holds, relatively longer moves, a little bit compressed, a little bit physical in it. Definitely tiring, but because of the style, they don't allow you to stay for too long on the wall.
Gaeon Cho now making her way onto the head wall of the women's route.
She looks very safe here. She looks very stable. Well, let's see how it goes, because this is a long move, and it's there's still 2 long moves after that before your feet are exactly really up on the head wall. So a better score than Camila Moroni before, but not the highest point up on this route.
No, not matching Selena Schäuble just yet. It's all South Korea right now on the wall. Yeojin Kim, her compatriot, is about to take the wall. Let's have another look. Oh, it was just a split second too late. A day late and $1 short there from the cameraman. Apologies for that one. And
well, as
score
we say,
comes through. That was 26 plus to Camilla Moroni's 26. Ah, here it is again.
Here it is again. You could see the hand being tired, and she was trying this clip for a long time. Oh, now she's reversing back on the clip. We have an interesting replay here, Charlie.
Yeah, this is a strange one. There we go. Now she's...
For all of you guys watching up there, please excuse us. It's the 5th day of the competition, and even the camera crew gets a bit fatigued. Reversing back and forth on these moves. Yeah, just not making it completely on this move, which in fact is more a left-hand move than a right-hand move.
Laura Lammer now of Austria,
but
onto the wall.
As just to finish, as with all female climbers, whether if they land left hand on the hold or right hand on the hold, unless it's a 1-finger pocket, they will change their hands. So,
is it difficult for you guys because you're an all-male setting team? Have you had any female athletes come down, locals? Has Katja Vidmar from the Boulderers coming out to go on any of the routes?
Are you, Charlie, trying to say that Katja Vidmar is a local?
No. But I know she's a very strong female climber.
No, we've had.
Don't get me started. Eastern European politics. Oh God.
No, we've had 2 testers coming by, but as I've said, because of the changes that we've had to kind of implement to our setting program, we really didn't have that much time to play with these routes. We had to really advance with them quite fast. But yeah, we've had a few competitors, and I would partially agree with what you're saying, that especially for female young climbers to understand better the difficulties, or not the difficulties, but more the challenges that they are facing in a different style of climbing.
There's such a physiological difference between 35-year-old guy route setters and 16-year-old female.
Hey, my friends keep on telling me I climb like a girl, so come on.
I think to some people that might be a compliment, but I don't think they mean it that way. I have to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, there is, yeah, of course, we're different body shape, but there is a huge difference in the way we just, you know, like the climbing part of it, but we can go easily into dynamic, into fast, into a little bit more physical moves. And yeah, we can see it throughout the competition. I mean, we didn't have too much tops, as I've said, in the qualifiers for the ladies. We had
Laura Lammer off just below the head wall.
Yeah, just below the head wall. And for Yufei, neither. Well, you know, we were expecting tops on these routes. So it's always, there is always a little bit of a case of us learning throughout the competition, even though when we assume that the routes are hard, we don't really want these climbers not to have any chance of topping out the routes.
24 plus for Laura Lammer. This is Katsura Kanishi climbing.
We will be getting close to it, you know, to tight places around these 24, 5, 6 spot, I believe, because it's this exit up to the head wall, and then the head wall gets only 6 more moves going, or 7 more moves going, with a very tricky last jump. So yeah, I would expect, you know, like, I would not be surprised to see a little bit more of some tight places around that place. On the other side, Team Japan.
Yeah, Katsura, he's doing a pretty good job so far on the win. We've had 7 competitors and no one's got the same score, so that'll do. We've got a few guys tied on around the 24 plus move. Katsura Konishi wasting no time here on the men's route. He's, as with pretty much all of the male athletes so far, he's a 7th climber out. He's been absolutely flying.
And we've got a Polish climber out, Maja Rutka. Very nice to see. Very happy to see that. We'll be paying attention and probably stopping commenting for a second in that case.
She, I know you no longer live in Poland, but is she a climber you've seen much of or heard much of?
Yeah, she's definitely the best lead boulder climber from the category, and the best outside climber at this age in the ladies category. We've had in the semi-final Ida Kuch, who is probably the best female climber at the time right now. But let's see this. Let's see what Kanishi is doing, because he's getting very, very high up on this green route.
It's a really awkward place to clip from with your arm bent like that and your elbow stuck out behind you, but he's made it work, and I'm pretty sure there's no more clips now. That's all the way to the top, so that's how close he is.
We're up there, and I mean, like, he's approximately 1, 2, 3, 4 moves. 4 moves from the top, so it's very, very close. None of these moves is really easy, but you know, I'll be very curious again to see how high you will see the guys, and we have to remember that after 13 we'll be having a brush-in. I'll probably leave you at that point to join my team and see what's the spirit, you know, after 13 climbers. And now I've got Maya only on the wall, coming up to the steepest spot, doing this, what the French call the horloge, the clock, without skipping one of the holds.
This was where we lost Katsura Kanishi. Is this the right method, slapping out with the right hand? It looks like the way to do the move.
It is definitely, and as if you've been watching the semi-finals, this head wall section is not very steep. The wall is probably less than 10 degrees overhanging, so many of the hard sequences of the stop head wall are sequences which are extremely technical and about placing the feet, getting your hips as close to the wall as possible, putting a lot of pressure on the foot and releasing pressure from the hands. And Yes, well, we lose my probably around somewhere hole 22, 23, so lower down than the high points.
Igor Bobrunev of Russia now out onto the wall. And Sofia Kessel, also of Russia, is about to climb on the women's route.
Yeah, we're quite fast. It's 8th climber out or 7th climber out.
Yeah, this is a bit of a speed climbing semi-final.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's
Well, you said something interesting to me before we came on air. You said setting for a youth competition is just who can make the least mistakes.
It is a little bit. I don't want to say it out very much loud. I don't want to sound, sound bad against these climbers, because they are doing really a good job and they're fighting very hard.
But you just don't know the level. You're kind of setting blind.
That's one thing, but the other thing is really it brings me down to the idea of we know some of the climbers. We know, in fact, many of the climbers, the level of them. We don't know the average, because we're talking about 74 youth A, 72 junior male athletes, almost 60 youth A female athletes. So, and at average year it changes. And well, what changes the most is, I mean, like, come on, when you're 16, 17, 18 years old, within 2 months your life changes completely, and suddenly you're a punk rock, the next day you're bald and a skinhead, and and try to be a world champion in this. Well, it all kind of mixes up. So that's one thing, but the other thing is really the experience part and the part of handling the pressure. That sometimes an athlete doing an incredibly good performance one day, the next day is just like making so many mistakes, being unable to find the correct flow of the route, that suddenly he's just out.
This was a look at Igor. Presumably we lost him very, very low down.
Well, be careful, Charlie. It's like getting up to the steepest part of the wall. It's just that the route is fast down here.
I thought he was 2 clips off the ground.
No, he was on the 6th one.
Apologies at home. It's just the speed they're climbing.
They go very fast up, huh? Well, we've got one of the Spanish.
Yeah, Antonio Esparta Frade. Spanish is one of those languages I can't get to grips with. I'm really sorry. I've been getting pasted from a Spanish pronunciation.
Yeah. One more thing with the mistakes of the juniors. Probably the reason why we talk about it so much and see it so much is that we, in a way, always compare these situations to the World Cup situations. In the World Cup situations, we always say, you make 1 mistake, you're tired. You do 2 mistakes, you're very tired. You do 3 mistakes, you're out of the game. Here, the number of mistakes is accumulating really often, on these routes. Coming down from bad reading, not finding the holds, not finding the footholds, to the pace of climbing, to the speed of climbing.
You've got so much to think about.
Of course, it's after all, it is a very complex activity.
And just give us an insight for people watching. They'll tune in again tomorrow. There's a whole new set of routes on the wall. What does your evening look like?
Well, I'll be finished very late because we've got 4 Youth B qualifiers starting up in the morning, boys and girls at the same time.
So all these routes come down, or does some well, you can't tell us?
Well, I'm not sure if I should. No, I shouldn't tell you probably, but there will be some changes. Some of the stuff you will see very similar, but we will be definitely preparing for you guys a completely different setup of the wall for the finals, because the finals that are going to happen tomorrow evening are going to be the finals for Youth A and Junior categories, both male and female. They will be competing together at the same routes, so it's going to be interesting. We've left a little bit more space for them, even though, as I've said, it has to be 6 routes at the same time in the day. Okay, we have trouble here.
Looks like he needs to get his feet on.
Well, yes, well...
It's not a great position to find yourself with your feet underneath you.
Yeah, cut and loose on this part of the wall. Well, you'd rather be a little bit tighter up in your upper body. You don't want to be just hanging down on your hands. Okay, now come on, we've got this.
You can see the effort really beginning to show here.
Yeah.
It's not often you see a climber really so
trying so hard,
visually tired.
Yeah, and trying really hard and not being sure if she's able to make it. But I mean, like, this is the case when I'm saying being a little bit out of the comfort zone, especially the juniors group is a group, well, juniors, Youth A, juniors, Youth B. We've got all heights. If you've looked at yesterday's qualies, we've had a girl from Spain who's measured probably 152.3, and we've had girls who are up to 180. So it really forces very often the climbers to get into positions either extremely tight for them, either be dynamic. They have to be really diverse with the way they move, because obviously these routes they will force you to be different. They are not set for one body length. They are different for kind of different body lengths, and we're trying to be really universal with it and not to have too much morpho situations, you know. This
was where Andoni lost his feet. I think he kind of cut loose intentionally and instantly realised it was a bad idea.
Well, I think it's the body tension situation, you know, especially in this part of the route where the foothold that you saw on the right side is a flat foothold, a foothold where you have to keep the tension. If this just goes out, it's extremely hard to get back into the position, into the situation.
Davide Marco Colombo here of Italy. Yeah, we never really finished talking about your evening, but suffice to say, you'll be working very late.
Yeah, we'll be working very late because we have to change all of this, what's up on the wall. Some of this modify, some of this to change completely. One route has been already taken down between the qualies and the semis, which very fortunately we had the time for. So we'll prepare the qualies for the morning for independent routes for Youth B male and female qualification, and then 2 finals for Youth A female and junior female on one of the routes, and Youth A male and junior male on the other of the route. So if you'd like to see some more action and some final action tomorrow, stay tuned. You remember, Charlie, what time are we beginning tomorrow?
5 and 6 for the finals.
5 and 6, yes, yeah. That's it. The best 8 athletes, probably the scores are updated online already right now for at least 2 of these categories. That's the junior male and junior female categories.
Emily Phillips here of Team Great Britain out into the semis. Her compatriot Hannah Slaney had a bit of a anxious semi-final in the juniors, made it through in the end.
Yeah, very luckily for Hannah, I had to say. She was one of the last ones to come out. She was the second one to come out after a really good performance yesterday on the qualification route, and after a great performance on the bouldering where she won the golden medal. That's the thing, and we were talking just about a second ago. You don't want to lose the tension on these holds, and if you're losing the tension, you have to make sure that your body is a little bit higher up, that you're pulling up a little bit more on your hands. And well, we've seen the Italian climber at a very similar situation as the
pretty much identical. Let's have a look. We lost that. Okay, let's have a look at Emily Phillips now.
She's looking quite solid here. In fact, she punched through this entry part to the steepest part of the wall, and let's see what's going to happen now, because she's going to be entering the zone around 24, 5, 6, the score of the hold, where we've seen climbers falling down, but the higher climbers, the climbers that made it a little bit higher up on the route already.
Yeah, the high point of Selina Schäuble, I said at the time, often these high points can last quite a long time, even when they're set very early, and Selina Schäuble's high point of 32
Selina
proving to do that.
Was the 4th climber to come out, and I mean, Emily is the 10th climber to be out, and still Selina looks very high on this route and very strong. Yeah, that's this point around 24 plus.
She looks back up at it as if to say, I wish I knew who set this route. If he was here, I'd tell him.
He's in the back there, you can catch him.
So this is another look at it. She had a slightly awkward clip, which cost her a tiny bit of energy, so she got up to the horseshoe, if you like.
Yeah, well, as you see, you can get the left hand higher up for an intermediate hold to reposition yourself, but this move, that's the move over the lip, it has to be much more control, and you just need more endurance on the right hand.
Do-Hyun Lee now of South Korea is out.
Well, we are talking about competitors born 2001, 2002 all the time, which is probably somewhere there where already a lot of climbing gyms have been popping out throughout. And it's gonna be very interesting to see how this will evolve, especially as the World Youth Competition, because we are talking already now about the biggest competition there is in the circuits. There's 600 competitors here competing only in bouldering and lead, and I'll be very, very curious to see really what will happen once we'll get this thing on the mainstream happening, saying people will be able to see this sport in the Olympic Games.
Here's Vanda Michalkova. She was sitting in the seat currently occupied by Adam Pustelnik earlier in the week, commentating. Team Slovakia. They got a couple of had Petr Kuric out first, and they've got Vanda now. So a semi-finalist in both men's and women's for Slovakia. Now this is where we've lost the last couple of climbers. Do-Hoon Lee does well to get his feet back on.
We've talked a second ago about the difference of the body shape of these athletes, and Vanda is a perfect example of how she's one of the taller climbers in the UFA category, and aside of her you've got athletes who are 160, 164, and it is really a challenge to make it all really fair for each of them.
Do-Hoon Lee now, he's still some way short of Katsuro Kanishi's 33 plus high point. But been to a second place, I would guess pretty close.
Yeah.
Heading up that way. Kuric currently second.
He looks very comfortable. He looked very comfortable on these small holds, which are on the volume, just at the lip of this steep overhang, and now getting onto the green banana, or you might call the volume, but really struggling and just out of juice.
I think that was sheer determination got him through the last few moves.
It's incredible to watch with juniors that, with seniors, when you see things happen, of course you get these surprises of, holding on at the very, very last split of a second. With juniors, you can see that every time they fall off, they still try to make a move somewhere, and sometimes it's incredible to see that these even completely desperate moves, they work out. It's really, in fact, it's motivating.
Well, I was thinking all climbers could probably learn something from that.
Yeah, very correct.
I remember chatting to a top sport climber, and he just said, just try and do the next move, because if you can do that, you might be able to do the next one. And if you can do that, you might be able to do the next one. I mean, eventually it runs out, but never give up. You never know. The next move might be easier. You might stay on. Just keep going. Never write it off. And Michalkova is on the steepest section of the wall again, looking to pull through onto the head wall above.
I guess that's very much one of the one of the mottos of Adam Zondra climbing. Approach. That you just, every attempt, every try that you push is the try that could be the successful one. So why should you even bother with thinking of that something could be a failure? You might not be able to do something, and we see that lip of the roof. Let's see how this will go. Although fingers are opening up really hard. Okay, she's got the intermediate hold. No, and again this spot, unfortunately, as I've said, you might have some tight scores up here. It's there is always these sequences around the lip of the overhang where your feet are in the steep part, your hands are beginning to be over it. They are really hard, especially for junior climbers, where you have to pull up a little bit more on the hands, and you're unable to support it so much with the feet.
This is Alistair Duval of France. He's just made his way out, 12th climber in the men's side of things already, and 12th climber in Daria Furmanova is about to come out on the women's side. And we are
45 minutes
in. Could be setting some sort of record, but people aren't falling off super low down. They're just climbing fast.
Yeah, as I've said, and as people especially that came down here, they noticed this wall is not extremely long. This wall is a fast wall, and especially if the routes they have to kind of work together at the same time. It's not maybe at the exactly same time, but we really have no time to change things and to add extra volumes, change the line of the climb, mix it up somehow.
Alistair, now you can see it's getting increasingly familiar, this men's route. He's just heading towards the head wall. So he's on the very steepest section right now, and then he'll pull on, and the angle eases off to 8 degrees overhanging, I'm told.
Yeah,
by the wall builder.
So it is 8, the guys.
Apparently it's 8, yeah.
That's nice.
Daria Furmanova of Team Russia. Russia also had a good day in the qualifiers yesterday. Just to give you an idea of the calibre of climber still to come, we've got Sam Avazu, who won the bouldering, Hida Masanashida, Alberto Gines Lopez. We've got some very strong climbers still to come. We're Brooke Rabatu, Laura Rigora still to come in the women's.
Ita Futaba, Sandra Letner, it is Eliska Adamovska. It is a strong field up here.
And this is a very strong attempt, I've got to say, from Alistair Duval. He's climbing 12th. Climbers going in reverse order from how they ranked in the qualifiers. So he's ranked 14th in the qualifiers.
He doesn't. Oh, he has to struggle up right now.
Did well after that left foot popped. And that'll be equaling the high point, I think, 33 plus.
I think so, yeah. That's going to be the same place as Katsura Konishi.
Yeah, count back to the semi-final. That'll move him into first place.
So we're up on the last climber before the brush-in.
Yeah, Eneko Canatero Cruz, who was in the bouldering final earlier in the week. And you can see there, Alistair Duval does match the score of Katsura Konishi and takes the lead thanks to count back to the semi-final. Selina Schäubel's high point of 32. No one's been within 5 moves of that yet. And looking at the fact that Daria Furmanova is untying, I don't think she's got there either.
Okay, and the score for the girls, I was saying 26, 24. It's not 24, it's around 26. It's this horseshoe hold. But if you advance from and you don't get to the next one, you just get a plus. If you get the next one, you get a 27. And that puts you in the, according to the current ranking, that puts you in the 2nd place, in fact, getting over the horseshoe.
That was a 14 plus from Daria Furmanova. Lučka Rakovec of Slovenia getting ready to climb. This was Daria Furmanova. Let's have a look.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying, you know, there's a little bit of complexity on these moves because you have to go a little bit faster, you have to pick the right place on the hold, you have to get your body correct into the wall a little bit with the hips more inside so that the move is not hard, and that's why we're saying from time to time that we have these ups and downs in the field, that some of the competitors who are ranked higher up after the qualification, they just fall low. As an example here, we've got one of the, you know, we've got one of the competitors that's going to be in Buenos Aires from this category, from UFA female categories, one of the stronger competitors in UFA female, Lučka Rakovec, that didn't make so well in the qualification. And, well, I would not be surprised to see a high point happening here.
We've got the 2 silver medalists from the boulder earlier in the week, Eneko and Lučka, both on the wall at the same time. Both of them not too far off claiming gold, but still, yeah, both silver medalists on the wall at the same time. Had a couple of really good boulder finals in a row, Youth A and the Youth B today, both absolutely brilliant. Eneko now
going fast.
Yeah, firing through these moves.
Well, he knows that these holds there, in this part, they get you pumped. You want to get over it. You want to go fast through this section, especially that it is a little bit compressive, so you can go kind of fast. A little bit like boulder number 3 in the finals. We had a short laugh with the bouldering team after, especially after this final for the UFA boys. The guys made a small, just coming up to the head wall. Maybe a little bit too much fatigue.
Yeah, looks at his hands. So go ahead.
The bouldering team proposed that we might just put the boulders from the final round one over another, but we have to make sure we don't reach the head wall because they just might be a little bit too easy. It's just small jokes within the team, you know, within the different teams. But I mean, yeah, for both for the lead team, but I think much more for the boulder team. This competition has been extremely exhausting, extremely hard, and I mean, as we are saying all the time here, we are a little bit flowing in the level. We are not very precise with it. It's very hard to be super precise with it, and yeah, mistakes is as these. I don't know if you can call them mistakes, but just like rounds that don't flow so well. They just happen. Okay, we've got going up, and I really do hope she will make it through this hard move here. It is small positive holds. Just missing.
And that's 26 plus again. She'll move up into a second place, Luchka Rakovic, where she finished the bouldering. A cleaning break on both the men's and the women's route. This was where we lost Eneko. And he's done enough to move himself up into fourth. You fear with the calibre of people still to come, it may not be enough.
Yeah, I think with the guys coming up after, especially that two of these best athletes from the qualification, that's Hidemasa Nishida and Alberto Vines Lopez, they are climbers who have topped both of the qualification routes. And I have to say, watching their performance yesterday, it was not a top on the very, very limit. It was quite a controlled top. And further on, Alberto, he has been a finalist of the last World Cup in Arco. So we're talking about really top-notch, not only junior but senior competitor right now. So there is someone to compete with, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, in the meantime, you see my fellow colleagues, I just wanted to join, going up the route.
Yes, Vincent had his birthday on...
Yes, Vincent had his birthday on the
Friday?
10th. Yeah, on Friday, on the 10th of August. We did a small celebration, a small one, as we were still working on these days, so we really had to stay focused with it. But I have to admit, it's nice, you know, a little bit of a break from the atmosphere of trying to get things dialed and working out fine for a big competition like this. It's nice to have a moment when you're thinking, okay, let's sing at least happy birthday and have this moment for the man.
Yeah, and I would never, in my wildest dreams, want anyone to feel sorry for us, but when you come to a lot of events, in a World Cup, you just go full bore. For us, it's 3 days. I know a World Cup is longer for you, but we have 17 events, I think, this year. You just go full on. At an event like this, we're here for 10 days. You do need to step away from it, don't you?
Yeah, we've had, as the lead team, we've had one full-on rest day, and I have to say that this was something extremely important for the team to get the head away a little bit of the roots, of thinking about the difficulty, of thinking about all the different small and bigger problems that we encounter when setting. But it is one of the longer marathons for setting, and especially for the bouldering team, it's been
yeah, they've been here since the 28th of July.
Yes, and they didn't have a single mistake. You know, everything they've seen was the way from the hotel to the venue, different boulders, you know, categories changing on the same profile, and 92 problems, as much as I believe. It is truly a huge marathon of just pure sheer work, not only route setting work. And I mean, we keep on saying it's a creative profession, and it's something that you have to be, you know, stay motivated, and sometimes we get inspired by different things, but when we are at the level of 92 boulders to be set within 2 weeks, day by day, it is really hard to keep that spirit going, and we have a lot of respect to our colleagues from the other team for doing all of that job. And yeah, at the end of it works very nice, and it's gotten nice to see it.
It does, but it's route setting is an art, but it's also a lot of grunt. I mean, we're watching Vincent right now, basically pulling his way up the quick draws and everything. It's brutally physical.
Alpinism, huh? Almost.
It's like indoor alpinism. You want to get into route setting? It's indoor alpinism.
Yeah, well.
Okay, Adam, you got to go?
I'll be going. Ule Morten just left as well. You'll be alone, Charlie.
It's okay, I can take it.
With hundreds of thousands of viewers, guys, hope you'll give good comments to Charlie. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Hope you'll enjoy the second part, and I don't know, maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe I'll hear you tomorrow.
You're always welcome, Adam. Always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for your insight, and thank you for all the work you put in. I know you've just spent a lot of time bigging up the bouldering guys, but you guys have worked pretty hard as well, and it's not finished yet. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much, guys. Enjoy the evening. Tune in tomorrow. Hope to hear you tomorrow. Charlie, have a good one.
Ciao. Okay, well, while the routes are being cleaned, let's have a look at a chat I had end of last week with a local climbing legend, Alexei Rubtsov. Hello and welcome to Climb in Tokyo, Alexei Rubtsov gym here in Moscow. We're here for the Youth World Championships, so we thought we'd come down and have a look where Alexei trains. And Alexei, when did you build the gym? It's quite recent, hey?
I opened it, I think, 4 months ago. It's a new gym, and the main reason was that in Moscow we don't have a lot of good gyms with good halls, and last year 3 biggest gym in Moscow was closed because of reconstruction in the city, and I have no choice. Build gym or don't train, so it was the main reason, yes.
And how has it been, the gym? Is it busy? Are people enjoying it?
Yeah, people like it, because if you visit some another Moscow gyms, you understand that it is maybe small, but one of the best, I think. I build it for myself in general, so all the areas, it is what I need. I build it like gym for me. I think if you build something perfect for you, it will be perfect for everybody. Yeah, that's why this gym is good.
And do you think that some of the youth climbers we're watching this week should come here and start training?
Yes, last 3 days it was super busy. Every day was 100 childs here. I think almost all teams.
Well, it's an amazing facility, and yeah, congratulations on building it, and I'm sure it will be a big success, and hopefully we see some more strong Russian climbers.
At least I can train here when I want.
Check out his gym, Climb in Tokyo, which is not too far from our venue here in Dynamo. It's, as a crow flies, not too far, but with the metro currently having some work done, it still takes a while to get there from the venue, but very easily accessed from Moscow city centre. Thoroughly recommend a visit. Alexei Rubtsov was never going to build a bad gym, was he? Very high quality place to climb. And I was chatting to him, it doesn't sound like Moscow's got a lot of good climbing facilities, so it was long overdue, and if you're ever in the city, well worth a visit. The man himself is usually there. This has been one of the fun parts of the week here, picking people out in the crowd, and they can obviously see themselves on the big screen. Some people enjoying it more than others, it would seem. And we're just a minute or two away from the resumption of the semi-final. If you're just tuning in, Charlie Bosco here. I've lost my companion Adam Postelnik, who joined me for the first half of the semi-final. He's headed back to help his team out with the cleaning process. Adam, the chief lead route setter here in Moscow, and it's, as we touched on briefly, an enormous task to set for a championship this big. You've got 3 age categories. Each age category needs 2 qualifying routes, a semi-final route and a final route for both the men and the women. So it's an enormous task to set, and a great job from Adam and his team to produce what they have. Ditto the bouldering team led by Saeki Kikuchi with the 92 boulders that they've managed to create. But they have been here since the 28th of July, and they look like they need a holiday. Stefan Fellner now of the USA, he's underway. Saeki Kikuchi of Japan is climbing as well. Interesting spread of results, particularly on the men's side. Not many ties above the 24 plus. Few ties on 24 plus, but to get into the final, you'll need to get past that. Over on the women's side, Selena Schäuble. She was 4th out, and she still got the high point, 32. This is Saeki Kikuchi in action now. Real all-rounder. Stefan Fellner of the USA to make his way onto the very steep section of the Moscow wall. These volcano holds now looking increasingly familiar. We lost Andoni and David Marco of Spain and Italy respectively on these holds when their feet cut loose. Looks pretty composed, needs to keep his feet on if at all possible because it makes that move so strenuous, and that is the problem. If the feet cut loose at that stage, that's a shame for Stefan. He looked really solid up till there, but as soon as he went full reach, you could see how much tension was required to keep his feet on. They began to peel off, and then he really was in trouble. So we'll focus now on Saeki Kikuchi. Just yet another incredibly talented and incredibly strong Japanese youth climber. She was 4th in the bouldering earlier in the week. She made the semi-finals of the senior bouldering here back in April, and she was 3rd in the youth B bouldering in Innsbruck last year. So real caliber, Saeki Kikuchi. What can she do in the lead? Looked pretty handy in the qualifiers yesterday. Ranked 6th on one and 16th on the other route. And again, it's that slap up. It's the 26 plus move that's currently jamming a lot of the climbers together. Count back to the semi-final could come in, could be absolutely crucial. Oleg Bushin now of Russia is on the wall, and Miyu Kurita, also of Japan, will be the next climber out. Oleg Bushin. Still relatively low on the route. Most of the climbers have absolutely rocketed through the lower section. He's onto the green volumes, as I say, still relatively low down. And we await the arrival of Miyu Kurita. Here she comes, out to make her way out. Now he's into the volcanoes. This is where it gets really steep. Lost several climbers now. And this volcano section, the key seems to be not getting your feet too far away from your hands. Don't ask too much of your core strength, and try and keep your feet on if at all possible. And he's got a real fight on his hands if he wants to stay on, Oleg. Slaps up with the right hand. He's doing well here. He's just about holding on with those feet. But a few moves out, that looked as if it could be coming to an end, so it proved. We lose Oleg Bushin through that volcano section on the men's route. Let's have another look. So he did really well to stick that move, and couldn't really get a drop knee on the left leg to reach up with the left hand. Would have made the move a bit easier, but I think it would have just put the hold just out of reach. Miyu Kurita, you might be able to hear through my microphone, Team Japan shouting at her, egging her on. So far, Selina Schäuble still leading the way from Team Austria. Alistair Duval of France leading the way. Only on count back to the semi-final, I should add. On the men's side, Katsura Kanishi matched his high point, second only to semi-final because of qualifying results. Devin Wong of Canada will be out next onto the Moscow wall. Miyu Kurita is coming back down to clip. That's the last thing you want to do, is create a few more extra moves for yourself. Down climbing's most of the time even more strenuous than going up, so not an efficient use of her energy. See how much she's lost in the process of doing that. Gets the clip. You can see there on the left, on the green holds, Devin Wong getting underway. Miyu Kurita now coming up to what is proving to be the crucial 26 plus move. Let's have a look at Devin meanwhile. And we lose, because I just saw a shadow on the wall, Miyu Kurita. Now then, did she latch that hold? Let's have a look. We're going to have another climber on 26 plus. Yes, we are. That's the move that's been stopping climber after climber. In fact, Selina Schäuble, the only climber to have got through it. This is Devin Wong now on the volcanoes. Actually better letting one foot hang down and get something useful out of the other one than to try and get both engaged but be too stretched out on those moves. And Devin slipping up for that banana hold just above the lip. Let's see where that leaves him score-wise. Good spread of results on the men's side. A few climbers clustered around 24 plus and some around the 27-28 mark, but reasonable spread all the same. Devin Wong, this is 27 plus for him, enough for 6th place as it stands. As I said earlier on, it's unlikely to be enough given the calibre of climbers still to come. Daria Veritanina here of Russia. Rafael Coronado of Luxembourg will be the next male climber onto the wall. Daria, just got to figure these moves out. We just saw Miyu Kurita down climbing a bit higher up than this, so you've got to get your sequence reading right so you don't waste any time.
том числе в Тимур, и 285 тысяч человек. Напомню, что с СВАО в Москве проживает около 600 тысяч человек.
So here is Rafael Coronado of Luxembourg. He is the 17th climber out. Daria Veritanina is the 16th climber out. So men's semi-final moving along at a marginally faster pace than the women's. Selina Schäubel's high point of 32 remains unmatched. Alistair Duval of France and Katsura Kanishi leading the way on the men's side of things, 33 plus for both of them. And we lose Daria relatively low. Rafael Coronado now on his own on the wall. Frederica Fell will be the next climber out. Let's have a look what happened to Daria. The right foot just popped as she went up with the right hand. Shame for her. Rafael really having to fight now, slapping up with the right hand, and I doubt that'll be enough for a place in the final. It's that section through the volcanoes that's proved so problematic for so many climbers. Let's have another look. This is through the volcano section. Climbers that have read this well, it's looked quite straightforward, but the vast majority of climbers have struggled to find a really efficient way through these moves. So Frederica Fell, who were also in the bouldering final earlier in the week, is climbing now. Not seemingly too troubled so far. 5th place for her in the bouldering earlier in the week. Louis Gundolf of Austria will be climbing alongside her. There he is on the green and pink poles of the men's route. Frederica now heading on to this steeper section. Now she's got to be efficient here. We saw Miyu Kurita climb up, climb back down, have a slightly awkward clip. Louis Gundolf just needs to get up to those volcanoes with as much energy as possible and then be as efficient as he can through them. If he gets that done, who knows where it could lead. First things first. Frederica, you can see in the background, just creeping up. Now he's onto the volcanoes, Louis. Get the clip done. It'd be good if he could get the one after it done as well. Frederica Fell is composing herself before she won't realise it, but we know it's the crux move on the women's route. Only Selina Schäubel has advanced past it so far. And Louis done really well there. He's got through that section with a bit of juice left. How much is the key question? Not enough to progress onto the head wall, it would seem. So here we go, lining it up for the 26 plus move, and it's going to be another climber on that 26 move. Interesting to see as this semi-final unfolds whether there's going to be more and more climbers breaking through, or whether that's going to prove to be the move that meant qualifying result was crucial. Count back. There's Louis. So two new climbers making their way out, to Chiara Schafferer of Austria and also Nathan Martin of France. Had a good day in the bouldering earlier in the week. Third place for him, bronze medal. We're just awaiting him. Chiara for now on her own on the wall. Team Austria not had the results, as I mentioned earlier, that they might have hoped for in the Youth World Championships in the bouldering. But the lead program just getting underway. This is our second live stream. We had a junior semi-final earlier on today. Chiara crossing through, she's off the star now. She's just got a few more moves until she gets up to that key 26 plus area. Wee way to go just yet. Chalks up and gets herself set for the steepest section. I assume that Nathan Martin is out and either climbing or about to. She pops up through these increasingly familiar crimps. It's just classic endurance climbing through this section. Small crimps, awkward holds. Here's Nathan, he's just being introduced to the crowd, so he's now on his way out onto the stage in Moscow. Welcome, if you are just tuning in, we're live in the Dynamo part of Moscow City. It's 20 past 7 in the evening, Charlie Bosco here with the second lead semi-final of the day. We've got the Youth A lead, we've already had the juniors, and we also had the Youth B bouldering final earlier on today, so all three categories have been on the live stream today. Really beginning to fight now, and that's going to be another 26 plus. Chiara Schafferer, that messing around with that quick draw really costing her. You can see where it ended there. That's what a 26 plus looks like. So there is Nathan Martin, already a bronze medalist here in Moscow. That was in the bouldering. Next up on the women's route, Eliska Adamovska of Czech Republic. Eliska now underway on the women's route. Julien Clemence of Switzerland will be next out on the men's route. Zoe Egli also of Switzerland out on the women's route, so it's going to be all Swiss in just a second. And Nathan Martin's obviously found a pretty good way through those volcanoes. We haven't seen much of him, but he's going quickly, and he just pops off on that left hand, just never quite got it solid. And it's not like bouldering, you don't get another go, and sadly for him, he makes the most minor of mistakes, and before he could correct that left hand, he spat off the route. Have another look. So you can see that where the sweet spot of that hold is he above it, below it? Yeah, perhaps just above it. Here goes Eliska. Launching into the steeper section of the route, Eliska. After her, we've actually only got 7 climbers, so if she can't match or surpass the high point of Selina Schäuble, then Selina Schäuble will be confirmed as a finalist. Eliska Adamovska aiming to topple Selina Schäuble, but to be honest, no one's been close. Selina Schäuble found her way through that 26 plus move when no one else has been able to. We've got 8 climbers on that 26 plus move. This is Julien Clémence of Switzerland, excuse me. Freudian slip. And he's underway on the men's route. He is the 7th to last climber out, so that means that Alistair Duval of France is going to be a finalist tomorrow. Now that she's taking a good rest here, what she won't realise, what we know from watching at home, is that the key move is coming up very, very soon. You can see the horseshoe hold from where you launch. 26 plus, stopping so many climbers to get the hold beyond the horseshoe, line it up for the next move, and can't do it, and they've been stopped there. So if you can get your way past that move, you're going to be in the final. We know that because of the number of climbers left and the scores being as they are. Julien Clémence is now into the volcano, so efficiency ideally coupled with a bit of speed here, clearly the way to tackle this section. Eliska up to the horseshoe, and that's a frustrating finish for Julien. Let's have a look at Eliska. She's got the 27. Could be a 27 plus for her. Just waiting for it to come through. This was where we lost Julien. And again, his foot cut loose. Seen that happen to 3 or 4 climbers now, where the feet come off, and then they're really in trouble. So that's been the move that stopped no less than 9 climbers, and yeah, it was a 27 plus. Eliska Adamovska is going to be in the final tomorrow, provided one of the remaining 7 climbers can't surpass her high point. So she's got a bit of a nervous wait, but with 2nd place, with 7 climbers to go, she'll fancy her chances. Zoe Egli now of Switzerland. There's Hamish MacArthur in the background. Team GB. So what we've learned about this men's route is just keep it clean, get to the volcanoes, keep your feet on, be quick, try and get onto the head wall, and from there, maybe the top beckons. We haven't seen a top yet on either route so far. Here goes Hamish, first year in Youth A for him. Made the final in the Youth B in Innsbruck in 2017. He certainly does not look out of his depth, having made the step up to Youth A. Ever so slight loss of energy perhaps getting that clip done. Reach up, get a clip done nice and early here, and then he'll be heading into the volcanoes very shortly. Behind him, you could see Zoe Egli of Switzerland, 20th climber onto the wall. Hamish, the 21st male climber onto the wall, and here he is on the volcanoes. Pretty tall, particularly for this age category, and I think that will help him a bit because you can stretch that bit further and your feet aren't quite as far away as they would be if you're a bit shorter. Lining this up now, the slap with the right hand. Does well to control it, but he needs to get his feet back on, and that's the problem if you don't get them back on. It just takes so much energy. As soon as the feet cut loose, you're kind of compressing both your hands together. Such an awkward position to hold. Zoe Egli now. If she can get past this 26 plus move, she'll almost certainly find herself in the final, and she can. And it's one of those moves where when someone gets the method absolutely right, kind of wonder what all the fuss was about. She's absolutely cruised the move. Slap up now with the right hand, but that'll be more than enough for second place as it stands. That'll be somewhere around the 30 mark. This is where we lost Hamish. So he got his left foot on well. This is a half move up here with the right, and he managed to go to the higher bit of the hold. And he just couldn't get his feet on. You could see the frustration. 29 plus for Zoe Egli. So that was 29 plus, and she is in the top two, and that means that with 6 climbers to go, she's climbed her way into the final. So Sandra Lettner is the next climber out on the women's route. Ross Fulkerson of the USA now on the men's route. 5th to last climber, Sam Avazu, will be next out, the champion in the bouldering last week. Ross didn't miss out on the finals in the bouldering by much, he was 9th there. What can he find in the lead? There's Sandra, the combined champion from Innsbruck in Youth A, when last year she was in the younger half of the Youth A. This year she's in the older half. There's no combined, there's no Olympic format combined this time in Moscow like there was in Innsbruck in 2017 for the youth climbers. There will be in the Innsbruck World Championships, but not in this Youth World Championships here in Moscow. So each discipline completely individual here in Russia. And Sandra Lettner, the combined champion from Innsbruck, looking for a gold medal in lead climbing. Ross Fulkerson now into the volumes. What can he find? Up to 24, 25. Could do with getting that clip done sooner rather than later. Maybe not the most comfortable position to clip from, but he was at least efficient. Now he goes out with the left hand. He's looking really strong here, Ross. Just slaps up with the right hand. That could be a pretty handy score, though. Could be enough for a an early provisional final place. We shall see. 4 climbers left, so if he's in the top 4, then he's through to the final. He's not, he's in the top 6, just short, 27 plus. So again, bit of an anxious wait for him. Sandra Lettner, 21st climber out. We're about to see our 23rd on the men's route. Sam Avazu, the champion from the Bouldering, will be the next climber. Sandra just waiting to attempt what's proved to be the crux move so far. Sandra Lettner now launching up. She gets to 27, so that'll be enough, and it'll be a 27 plus, I think, for Sandra Lettner. Almost clobbered the belayer on the way down. Pretty sure that will be enough for Sandra Lettner to get the job done. That was Sam Avazu emerging out, and that was Sandra Lettner going and clocking what I think is a 27 plus. We await her score. Sam Avazu now bursting into action. Yes, Sandra Lettner, that's a 27 plus, so that's 3rd place for her. And with 5 climbers to go, that is enough. One thing to be aware of, by the way, while we're talking about who's qualified for the final and who's hasn't, when you look at the fact that we've got 9 climbers, no, not 9, 7 climbers tied on 26 plus for the women. Also, we've got Camilla Moroni on 26. We've got 2 climbers on 27 plus. It's all very fine margins, so I suspect there will be 1 or 2 appeals, so I will give you the top 8 at the end of the broadcast, but perhaps be aware that they will be subject to a few appeals, because people know that if they can get their 26 plus bumped up, or if 1 or 2 climbers got a 26 plus they may not have warranted when they warranted a 26, it could completely change the lineup of the final. So just something to be aware of as the results come through on the women's side. I think we could see 1 or 2 people shifting position once appeals have all been sorted. Anyway, Sam Avazu needs to get his feet back on. He does. Gets the clip done as well. Chooses to clip from what doesn't look the most comfortable position, but he had a plan and he made it work. Pink hold coming up next. There it is, looks pretty solid on it. Now he needs to slap up with the right. This is good climbing from Sam Avazu. Combined champion from Innsbruck. Boulder champion in Moscow. Noah Shiran of Israel now climbing on the women's route. So there's Sam Avazu popping up with the left hand. It'll be enough to get him into the final. We'll see exactly what his score is. But Sam Avazu will have a shot at getting medals in 2 disciplines. He's going to be into the final, and we just await his score. Noah Shiran of Israel now, 5th to last climber out. Camille Pouget, Brooke Rabatou, Laura Rigora and Futaba Ito still to come. So there you can see it, Sam Avazu, he ends up with a 30 plus, he's into 3rd place. And as I say, with 3 climbers still to go, that's enough.
Thank you. Please welcome representing Slovenia,
Luka Potakar of Slovenia is the next man out. No, Shiran, she's taken the advantage of the small rest there. You can see there Luca just got underway on the men's route. Noah Shiran at this crucial move. Can she find a way through it? This is a 26 plus. And she peels off as well. And the judges have got their work cut out, separating these 26 pluses. Of course, we do have count back to the qualifying round to separate the climbers should we need it. But I suspect there might be 1 or 2 appeals lodged. I don't think there's much doubt in that that's a plus. Look at having all sorts of problems with these clips low down. He got himself in a bit of a muddle and he's had to sort it out. Camille Pouget of France is about to climb on the women's route. So here's Luca into the volcanoes. Seen so many climbers make minor mistakes that they paid big prices for on these moves. Luca, he's got the block bit of that hole. He needs to find something a bit better, or just slap through with the left hand if you've got enough strength. Suddenly looks a bit more back on course. Did well there. I think he knew that was close. Didn't read it quite right. Read it well enough. That's Camille Pouget of France climbing on the right. So look at pausing. He is on the steepest section of the wall, but if he likes that right hand hole, which he seems to, he might as well try and take a rest. This looks pretty hopeful for Luca. Onto the head wall, looks like he might have a bit left as well. He's not grimacing too much, he's taking a few sensible rests, chalking up. He'll get the clip done. And look at now onto the head wall. Could we see a top? He looks incredibly controlled, I have to say. A couple of semi-finals in the World Cups already this year in Villars and Chamonix. And he's going really well here in the Moscow Youth World Championships. And that's perhaps the first major error he's made. He's still going though. This has been an amazing fight from Luca. Is he about to be rewarded? It's not in the bag yet. Get that quick draw clipped, and it is. And there it is. The men's route is topped. Brilliant stuff from Luca. That was an absolutely textbook demonstration of how to climb that route. So 26 now for Camille Pouget. This has been the crucial section of the women's route. The elbows are out, just beginning to get pretty tired here. And that's another 26 plus. Luca, what a day for him. No appeal needed there. Top, first top of this semi-final for the Youth A. Doesn't look like he can quite believe it. This is where it suddenly looked very promising when he was chalking up and looking reasonably comfortable on moves that have stopped some pretty fierce climbers. And this move here as well, when the right foot curled out behind him, was a bit of a heart in the mouth moment. Remember, it's not bouldering, you don't need to match the top hold. Get that top quick draw clipped and you're done. Down he came with the top in the bag. I don't think it's quite sunk in yet. Well, we know he'll be in the final, that's for sure. So we've now got 10 climbers who are tied on that 26 plus 10 so far. We've got 3 more to come. 10 climbers tied on that 26 plus move, as well as Camilla Moroni on 26, and Aliska Adamovska and Sandra Letner on 27 plus, who aren't too far clear of it. So yeah, as I say, bear in mind when I give you the women's results at the end of the broadcast, they are subject to appeal. Hidemasa Nishida now climbing on the men's route. He's the second to last climber. Alberto Gines Lopez will be the last one out. Hidemasa was 11th in his last IFSC action. That was the Arco Lead World Cup. Not too far off for making a lead final in the World Cups. Goal here is to make the Youth World Championship lead final. Here is Brooke Rabatu of Boulder, Colorado in the USA. Hidemasa's now on the Volcano route. He's going pretty well here. He is, of course, the reigning Youth B lead champion from the Asian Youth Championships, which, when you think about the calibre of climbers that means competing against, is pretty impressive. Brooke gets a quick done. Like Hidemasa, she also made the semi-finals in Arco just a few weeks ago. Hidemasa Nishida, I can just see him above Brooke, is making sterling progress on this men's route, more than enough to make the final, that is for sure. Top could come in very handy should countback be crucial. And that's brilliant from Hidemasa Nishida, perhaps smoother even than Luca. Top for him. Hopefully we can check out Brooke Rabatu. There she is. So she's got that crucial move done, up to 27. Now powering away and powering her way into the semi-final. Creeping up with the right hand, had to work hard for that one, Brooke. She needs to get her foot in play here, and then she'll be able to free up her left hand. These moves absolutely desperate, but Brooke Rabatu, could she be heading for her first top of this Moscow Youth A semi-final route? She is not, but she's done enough to secure a place in tomorrow's final. And she looks reasonably happy with her early evening's work. This was Hidemasa Nishida heading up to that big pink pinch. I've got to say, he absolutely cruised that route from what we saw of it. that was Brooke. She did really well here because you can see that's a tiny crimp she's got with her right hand. She did well to get her left foot in place so that she could free her left hand up. And I think she just slipped. Yeah, it was the left hand that pinged, but she'll be pretty happy when she sees the scores and sees that she has matched Selina Schäubel's 32. And on count back to the qualifying round, she goes into first place. So Brooke Rabatou guaranteed to start no lower than, or finish no lower than third from the semi-final. Laura Rigora will be out next, then Futaba Ito. Meanwhile, we've got our last male climber. This is Alberto Hines Lopez. So on the men's side, as I mentioned, appeals depending. I don't think there'll be quite as many appeals in the on the men's side, but regardless, Hinamasa Nishida, Alistair Duval, Katsura Kanishi, Sam Abazu, Petr Kuric, Eneko Carretero Cruz and Do-Yun Lee, the current top 7. Ross Fulkerson currently in 8th place. If Alberto Hines Lopez can match or surpass Ross's 27 plus, then Alberto will take his place in the final. Laura Rigora, bouldering champion in the Youth A. In an amazing performance, managed to top 2 boulders. Nobody else could manage more than 1, and it were very, very tough set of boulders. And Laura now making her way into the real meat of this women's route. She's second to the last climber out, just Futaba Ito to come after her. And Laura now getting into the crucial section, and Alberto in the crucial section as well. It's going to be very tight with him and Ross Fulkerson. Just seeing 2 tops on this men's route, Luka Potokar and Hidemasa Nishida. Alberto looks like he's struggling a bit more than those 2 were at this stage. Looks a little more tired. Might be able to get it back, of course. Here's Laura Rigora now. Half a dozen or so moves away from what has proved to be the crux here. And I'm pretty sure that's enough to get Alberto into the final. He's suddenly looking quite smooth again. Just had a couple of moves where he was slightly jerky lower down. Looked like he might be getting a bit tired. But a slight change in style and a pretty significant change in angle seems to be helping him, and he will have made the final. He's definitely done enough. I'd love to go through with the top. If he went through to with a top, he'd be ranked first coming out of the semi-final. That could come in very handy in the final. He picked up a 4th place in the bouldering, so narrowly missed out on a medal. Might be able to make amends in the lead. Laura Rigora is now lining up the crucial move. We'll focus on Alberto. That is the penultimate hold, and he just drops it with 1 move to go. Close to a top, enough to send him through to the final in 3rd place. And Laura safely through the crux move at 26 plus, and now powering onto the upper section of this route. So we saw Brooke Rabatou and Selina Schäubel get the next hold and the one after, but beyond that is as of yet uncharted territory. So she's matched the high point of Selina Schäubel and Brooke Rabatou. Laura Rigora now gone higher than any other climber on this route, but this last move is no gimme. You can see the top beckoning, and she just misses it. But Laura Rigora comes closest to anyone yet. We've got Futaba Ito still to come, but that'll be enough to send Laura Rigora into the final in, at worst, 2nd place. Looked like she might have had a rope leg caught behind the rope when she fell, but clearly not. This was Alberto. just couldn't quite figure out how to use that hold comfortably. This was Laura. Nothing at all for the feet there. You're going out across a blank wall. You're going for a good hold. Yeah, she's got her left leg free. As I say, it looked just before she went as if she might have her leg caught, but not at all.
Category A, wooden road, please welcome Futaba Ito, representing Japan.
So earlier on in the juniors, we had Shooter Tanaka setting a high point, and then his score didn't come through on our scoring system for a long time. And I couldn't figure out why on earth it wasn't coming through. And it turned out, when technical delegate Graham Alderson came and informed me that Shooter Tanaka had stood on a bolt, and so although he'd reached hole 37, his last legal move on the route had been at hole 27, so his score was 27. Now, wouldn't suggest for a second that that's what's happened, but just to put it out there that Luka Patokar's score is not coming through either, and it seems a very similar situation where everyone else's score is updating, but his isn't. So is it subject to an appeal? Is it a computing problem? We shall see, but we don't yet have a confirmed score for Luka, even though I saw with my own eyes, as you did at home, that he topped the route. So we'll see. Alberto Gines Lopez's score has been confirmed. Strange one. Normally I'd put it down to a computing error, but after what happened with Shooter Tanaka, when there was a very good reason why the score hadn't updated, perhaps there's more to the story. So this is Futaba Ito, bronze medalist from the bouldering, many people's favourite to win it, and in an immensely strong field, one of, if not the most promising young Japanese female climber out there. Already made a Boulder World Cup final. That was in Hachioji in her home country on the first weekend of June, and she won the female Youth B combined and the female Youth B Boulder in Innsbruck Youth World Championships in 2017, and also picked up a bronze medal in the lead. She's moved up to Youth A, and she's already got a bronze medal in the bouldering. What can she do in the lead? Seemingly not too fussed by any of the moves so far. Still waiting for Luka Patokar's score to come through. Here's Futaba. No problem on the 26 plus move. Route still hasn't been topped. She looks pretty strong on it. She's definitely climbed her way into the final here. She's just treading on the rope. That's the kind of thing you really don't need. There's also a bit of rope drag I felt with Laura Agora. You can see there how hard she's having to work to pull the rope up. There is a bit of rope drag, inevitably. But it's going to make this jump move pretty tricky. Getting plenty of encouragement. Futaba Ito. Could we see the first top of the route? We won't, but Futaba will still qualify in first place. She equals the score of Laura Agora, but she'll go through in first due to count back to the qualifying. So still no sign of Luka Patokar's score coming up. I'll try and find out a bit more about that. Sadly, I'm some distance from the wall, so I can't catch anyone's eye or wave at someone to come and tell me what's going on. Let's have a look at Futaba. She was aiming for the top, just came up short. So there we can see it on the women's side of things. Futaba Ito, Laura Gora, Brooke Rabatu, Selina Schäuble, Zoe Egli, Sandra Letner, Aliska Adamovska and Camille Pouget. But with Camille Pouget having snuck in with the 26 and there being 10 climbers on 26 plus, excuse me, having snuck in with the 26 plus and there being 10 climbers on 26 plus, I suspect there's the potential for those results to change as and when appeals come in. A bit lower down the order, Laura Lammer in 19th place. And Morgan Dael, who was the first climber out, we barely saw her due to our slight delay in getting live. Apologies there, she scored a 9+. Okay, well, Luka Patokar's score definitely not coming up on our graphics. He topped the route. I saw it myself, so did you. We'll see about that one. Check the IFSC website, ifsc-climbing.org, for results and news on that one on the IFSC social media channels. Hidemasa Nishida, Alberto Gines Lopez, Alistair Duval, Katsura Konishi, 1 second, I'll pull up my scores, Sam Avazu, Petr Kuric, Eneko Carretero Cruz and Do-Yun Lee, the top 8. Let's just see this final ticks now. I don't understand why Luka Potokar is down in 26th. He topped the route, he's not getting a score. I'm afraid I don't have an explanation for you. I will try and find one, but as I say, check the IFSC website, ifsc-climbing.org and the IFSC social media channels, and we will try and figure out what's going on. So that has been an action-packed day here in Moscow. There's more to come tomorrow. We've got 2 finals from the 2 categories we saw this afternoon. At 5 PM tomorrow, we've got the Youth A climbers with their lead final, and at 6 PM, we've got the juniors with their lead final. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow evening.